The stench hits before you open your eyes. You wake before dawn on the overland trail in the 1830s. No toilet, no walls, just a shallow trench dug downwind, and a $1 fine if you skip it. One canvas tent was shared among every woman in camp. A few soap lumps to last the month. This is what wagon migration across America actually felt like, and the morning routine was the easy part. You step into the cold dawn, the air thick with a sour tang that clings to your tongue. The first job is always the trench. You grip the handle of the camp spade, its wood slick from last night's fog, and follow the line of boys and men out past the wagons. The ground is hard, sometimes frozen, and every inch you dig fights back. Leaders insist on a trench 2 or 3 feet deep, wide enough for the camp to use, but the blade bounces off packed earth, and your arms ache before the first shovelful gives way. The ledger keeps track: who dug, who skipped, who left waste too close to the fire circle. A missed trench means a $1 fine, more than a day's rations for some families. You work fast, glancing at the sky for signs of rain. When storms come, the trench fills with slurry. Waste seeps into the mud, flies swarm, and the stench grows sharper, heavier. It's your job to pack sand or brush into the overflow, hoping to hold back the runoff until the next move. Boys grumble, but the rule is clear. No one relieves themselves near the wagons unless they want their name read out at roll call. Even so, when the ground is too tough or the train is late, people squat behind wheels or use a bucket under the wagon, quick, silent, and desperate. The routine is relentless. You dig, you cover, you move on. The leader's orders echo in your mind: keep the camp clean, keep the pace, keep the sickness at bay. But as the sun rises and the flies begin to gather, you know the best you can do is hold back the worst, one shovelful at a time. Behind a canvas curtain, knees pressed to cold ground, the rough weave bites at your arms as you brace yourself. The wagons form a loose shield, but every gap feels exposed. You listen for footsteps, for voices carrying on the wind, for children who might wander too close. A few women, luckier or higher in status, claim a curtained tent, a square of linen strung between wagon wheels. Most settle for a blanket over a pole, or a corner behind the ox yoke, skirts whipped by dust and wind. You untie the pouch at your waist. Inside, 6 or 8 linen pads, if you are fortunate, cut from old shirts, each one stained by the road. You fasten a fresh pad to your belt, a strip of canvas or rope tied tight. There is no room for embarrassment. Blood is just another problem to solve. Water is precious. You rinse the used rag in a shallow stream, hands stinging from the cold. Soap is saved for children or stew, not for yourself. You wring out the cloth, careful not to splash, and tuck it under the wagon canvas to dry, hidden from boys, from men, from questions you cannot answer. When water runs low, you wear the same pad for hours, the chafing a steady ache. Women share what they have: a strip of muslin, a clean rag, a moment of privacy. When a pad goes missing, mothers whisper, pooling scraps so no one is left without. The work is silent, invisible, and constant, a burden carried in the shadows, measured in moments stolen from the relentless journey. You crouch beside the wagon, hand wrapped around the spigot of a battered barrel, watching the water level drop with every fill. The barrel holds 55 gallons when full, but the sun and the road drink it down faster than you can ration. Each morning, the leader's voice cuts through camp: check the barrels, count the buckets, don't waste a drop. You feel the grit on your tongue, the ache in your throat, and you know the next stream could be a day away or fouled by the cattle that trample its banks before you ever kneel to scoop. When the train halts by a river, the water runs cloudy, churned by hooves and boots. Mud swirls in the bucket. The leader stands watch, weighing risk against thirst. Some families boil every cup, burning precious wood. Others trust the current to wash away what can't be seen. Children beg for a drink, lips cracked, faces streaked with dust. You fill their tin cup, watching for the telltale shimmer of something foul floating on top. By nightfall, a cough rattles in a child's chest. By dawn, the camp whispers of loose bowels, of fever, of the little ones too weak to rise. The mothers trade old remedies, willow bark, cold cloths, a prayer over the barrel. But the numbers do not lie. Out here, 2 to 6 out of every 100 will die from the water alone. Cholera, dysentery, the slow poison of a tainted stream. You count every swallow, knowing that a single careless dip can mean digging a grave before you reach the next bend. The leader's orders echo. Keep moving, keep drinking, keep hoping the next water is clean. You stand in the hush of evening, the sun a thin red line behind the hills. When the order comes to dig, the spade is cold in your hands, the earth stubborn, packed by weeks of wagon wheels and hooves. There is no time for ceremony. You scrape out a shallow grave, barely 2 feet deep, the dirt clinging to your nails. The body is wrapped in a patchwork quilt, a child's hand still clutching a wooden horse. A few words are spoken, soft, hurried, almost swallowed by the wind. The mother kneels, her face streaked with dust and tears. She tucks the toy into the crook of the child's arm. There is no headstone, only a stick pressed into the mound and a memory that will fade with the next rain. The wagons cannot wait. You tamp the dirt with the heel of your boot, feeling the weight of unfinished grief as the train moves on. Hunger presses in as dusk settles. The cook's fire is little more than a pile of smoldering buffalo chips, the scent sharp and sour. Wood is gone. It was burned days ago or left behind where the trees ran out. You squat beside the Dutch oven, watching the smoke curl low, stinging your eyes and throat. Beans and salt pork bubble in a thin broth, the taste flat, the meal sparse. Every mouthful is gritty with ash and dust. Children cough, their faces drawn in the flicker of firelight. Mothers ration out the last scraps, scraping the pot clean. You hear the quiet scrape of a spoon against iron, the soft whimper of a child who wants more. Fatigue settles in your bones, heavier than hunger. The night air bites, and you wonder how many more days you can keep moving, keep digging, keep eating what little the land and the wagons allow. Each routine, grave or meal, costs more than you can spare, but you rise again, because the trail demands it. You kneel by the riverbank, sleeves rolled, hands raw from scrubbing a child's shirt in water that runs gritty with silt. The soap is a hard, yellowed lump, precious as coin, just enough for a few passes over collar and cuff before you have to stop, saving the rest for the next meal or a child's fever. The wind dries the shirt stiff, leaving sweat and dust locked in the weave. Your own skin itches beneath layers worn too long, and the children scratch at their scalps until red lines bloom. At night, you comb through hair by lamplight, searching for lice that nest in seams and bedding. Sometimes a neighbor whispers of boiling blankets or rinsing heads with vinegar, but relief is brief. Fleas leap from the dogs to the bedrolls, and by morning, everyone wakes scratching. You hear stories of sulfur powder, but in this wagon there is none, just the hope that tomorrow's camp will have a stream deep enough to soak the worst of it away. Before the sun clears the horizon, the oxen are already restless, snorting clouds into the chill. You hear the leader's call, 12 miles today, maybe 15 if the creek holds. Every wagon depends on the animals, and each ox needs 10 gallons or more before noon, but the water is thick with hoofprints and dung. You grip the halter, coaxing your team toward the river, watching as a dead calf floats downstream, swollen and pale. The boys curse as they haul buckets, the water slopping over their boots, the mud sucking at their feet. The leader snaps his whip, urging the pace. No time for breaks, not with the sky threatening rain and the next stop hours ahead. Your son limps beside the last wagon, eyes rimmed red from dust and exhaustion, hands raw from pulling at bulky cattle. The march grinds on, every step a test of muscle and nerve, every wasted minute another risk of falling behind. You taste grit on your tongue, feel the ache in your legs, and know that if the oxen falter or the water turns foul, the whole train slows. Fatigue settles in your bones, but you keep moving, because stopping is not an option, not for the animals, not for you. You crouch in the wind, eyes stinging, hands numb or raw. Every task, digging, scrubbing, rationing water, demands silent cooperation. Dignity means finding routine where comfort ends. Today you flush, wash, and lock a door. But back then, survival meant adapting together to limits you never chose. That grit still shapes our expectations.